This thing that I have found is what I would call my gracious space. Well, hello, folks. This is Jack Carlisle with Gracious Spaces, and here we are once again, high atop the beautiful city of Old Town Orange. And I have sitting across from me an amazing, lovely lady. Her name is Paige. And when I am looking at Paige, and not to put you on the spot or creep you out, this is what comes to mind. Detail, quality, refinement, just a top-notch individual. So welcome, Paige, for spending your morning with us today.
Oh, thank you, Jack. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah.
I just always love coming to Orange and visiting this space. And most of all, seeing your smiling face.
Well, you know, we're being incredibly polite here, which is a part of our DNA, actually. So I'm going to take us. So Paige and I are both from North Carolina, and we kind of knew each other way later in life, but we could have easily crossed so many paths from Washington, D.C., North Carolina, and then ultimately we meet and cross paths here in California years and years later. But I've had the privilege of knowing you and your journey and could not wait to have you on to share that part of your journey. And we were briefly just chatting before we got going here about our Southern heritage and how much our moms influenced our lives. And you being a designer, tell me a little bit about that and how you contribute that from your mom.
Sure. Well, my mother and her mother always had these amazing homes and filled with antiques, and I think that's where I first learned to appreciate antiques and a little bit about design and collecting, and also about entertaining. My mom was always a very gracious host, and it's very apropos with the Gracious Spaces podcast. So I feel like I learned a great deal from her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A funny little story, not to turn tables on me the whole time, but my mom had a bridge club, as most women do back in the South, and I would have to serve the tea during the bridge club and the coffee and all that. And you know, picture me, this awkward, skinny little 9-year-old kid with a tray of coffee. And I'm like taking it. My mom's like, no, stop. I'm going to show you how to carry a tray of coffee properly. And, you know, I was sloshing it all around and moving. And then she goes, no, just gently just lift it up and lift it down just slightly so that no one really can see you taking that tray up and down. And what happens is gravity doesn't allow it to slosh, right? Which made total. I'm like, after I did that, I'm like, oh, wow. My mom is the smartest lady ever. She just gave me a science lesson on how to carry coffee. I was so proud to walk in that room without sloshing.
Oh.
Anyway, yes, moms provided us, I think, with amazing sense of hosting and entertaining and the proper way to do things. And so when you were young, your mom had beautiful things. Did you go antiquing with her and visit those spots?
Yeah, both of my parents were really big into antiquing, and my dad collected razors and shaving accoutrements, and it was always fun to tag along and just see. Just trying to learn the story of what is this object? Just kind of getting lost in an antique store and picking up things that were artifacts. And what did this come from? What did they use this for? It was just such a great history lesson, and just seeing how things were made so much better, like the quality was so much better, and these objects are so beautiful. Craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love picturing that your dad tagged along, and he had his sort of things he loved to look at. Maybe I picture them at the big, what's the flea market in North Carolina at the stadium there. But like your folks it's like a thing they could do together. And she had her own, and he just hung out.
Yeah. And fast forward today,
yeah.
My husband, DJ, he's not a DJ, but his name is DJ, but he will go straight to the vinyl records. Like, that's his thing.
Yes.
We go to his shop. Like, that's what he collects. That's what he's on a mission to look for. And so going to flea markets is something that we both enjoy doing
Yeah, you have
together.
that commonality.
Yeah.
What's his record collection? How extensive is it?
It's massive. I mean, he likes so many different genres of music, and I just can't even keep up.
Yeah. Well, of course, tiki comes to mind.
Yes.
He's probably got some Hawaiian.
Yeah. He's
there.
a big tiki collector as well.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get into that later. But
Yeah, right. So you yourself have a booth, multiple booths, and here in Old Town Orange.
Yep.
Tell me how you curated those and what drives you to provide the offering you do.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm not sure how the booth came about, but it might have been just we had this mid-century modern home, and I just enjoyed collecting things and furnishing the home. And then when I ran out of room to decorate, it was like, okay, maybe I could start selling this stuff, because I enjoyed the process, the treasure hunting, the going to estate sales and flea markets and thrift stores and finding these things. That was for me the best part.
The hunt.
And I just ended up asking a local antique shop, hey, can I be a vendor? I'd never been a vendor before, and they gave me a chance, and I've been there almost 10 years now. Wow. And I just go in about once a week and restock my little space, and I just love it.
Well, and I love when I often go to lunch around town. I'll pop in there and just kind of see what you have going on. Yes, I'm guilty of buying some beautiful things from you. Blankets. You had me hooked at a couple. Anyway, we won't talk about that. But what I love in your space is you have a lot of barware, vintage barware.
Yes. Yeah, that's something that I'm very passionate about. I love just the beauty of the old glasses and the cool graphics that they would print on them. So many different themes. You don't see that anymore. No. You might see a gold rim or something, but they had you name it. If you had a hobby, there was a glass with bowling or cars, like
golf.
Vintage cars were on glassware. All sorts of stuff. So that's kind of an obsession. I've got a huge collection of barware at home. Definitely one of the things I look for when I'm out.
What's the
picking.
famous barware designer? Dorothy
Thorpe.
Dorothy Thorpe. Yeah, you shared that story with me once, and I was amazed by this woman designer, and she came out. Tell us a little bit about her aesthetic.
She was known for the silver rimmed glass. They're just very minimalist but beautiful. I don't know much about her. I just know when I see one of her pieces that's a Dorothy Thorpe.
Yeah. Which many people today sort of knock that off.
Right.
It's a classic.
Yes.
It's beautiful. So you've done this. You've found your niche here, and you're having a great time.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, these car shows kind of came into your life, which is also another form of beautiful art. Vintage cars.
Yeah.
And so you gravitated toward car shows.
Well, let me back it up. So how this came about. My husband and daughter and I just moved into a new house, and the garage, my favorite room in the house, this home had no cabinets. So the first room that I wanted to
renovate.
First of all, I
love that the garage is your favorite room in the house.
It is.
Not the kitchen, not the bedroom.
No, I can't cook. I'm a terrible cook, but I can make stuff. And I'm very handy. I make stuff out of wood, metal, you name it. So the garage is definitely a favorite room. So, so the first house project was get some cabinets in here and renovate the garage. So, as I was doing this renovation, I would post pictures online on social media, and then I started, and this was during the pandemic, mind you.
Yeah.
So I started getting calls from friends asking if I could help them with their garages, and suddenly it became kind of a thing, and then I got a call from a producer who said he was going to be doing a show on garage design. And I wasn't sure whether to believe him at first, because I thought, like, how ironic this is, or how coincidental.
Yeah.
And it actually turned out to be a real thing, and it was called Garage Rescue. and we designed 3 garages, renovated them, and filmed in 3 months really fast. And I enjoyed it so much. Yeah, one a month. Wow. I just enjoyed it so much that I thought, like, maybe I can make a business out of this. And there weren't, from what I had noticed, there weren't any other interior designers focusing on the garage. Yeah. So I thought, and seeing what a car culture we live in Southern California, I thought this could be, a viable business. Yeah. So that's how I started this garage design business. And so in order to meet clients, I said, I need to start going to these cars and coffee events, on Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, and meet the collectors and meet people who really care about their garages. And so I was immediately hooked. Yeah. I don't know much about vintage cars, but I can certainly appreciate their beauty.
Yes.
And I tell you, I've learned so much in the process.
Were you one of the few people, if not the only person, with that approach? A designer, here you have a pop-up car show and you have a pop-up booth and you're sitting here telling them what you do and can do for them. I would imagine that not a lot of the people around you were doing the same.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of confusion at first because people would come like, wait, what do you do? You're not a mechanic. You have what do you do with garages? And it was a lot of explaining and yeah, it's very new and I don't know. Yeah. We'll see where it goes.
Well, that was a business card in essence. And I know for me, if I came across someone and having them explain, I would connect with them way more than I would, say, scrolling through an Instagram page. I can enjoy the beauty of all that, but for me, I may not hit that DM button and reach out to someone. But if you're standing there, you're like, you may go home, and that's going to stick in your head what that person does.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And so in the design world, because you sit on the board you're part of a community. Tell us about that.
I used to. I used to be on the board of ASID, that's the American Society of Interior Designers. And how that all came about was I had hired a business coach, and he was awesome, Rick Campos.
Yes.
And his brand is the Design Biz Survival Guide, and so he taught me so much about how we talked about processes and forming the business and marketing and back of house stuff, and I learned so much from him. He told me, you need to get involved in the design community. And at first I was like a little hesitant because I think it was a little bit of imposter syndrome for me because I don't have a degree in interior design. And here I am doing somewhat, interior design work. So it was just like, I thought, are they going to accept me? Are they going to think I'm a fraud?
But your work speaks for itself. It's gorgeous.
Well,
so detailed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But he was absolutely right. And I am so glad I did because I met so many people who felt just like I feel. And they're whether they're new designers or established ones, I think it's just, knowing that someone feels has the same insecurities as you do. It was just such a great sense of community, like meeting other people like you.
And so you set that intimidation part aside.
Yep.
And you did it. You made yourself do
I made myself do it. I made myself get out of my comfort zone. And I'm an introvert. I'm not big on public speaking. And I forced myself to get out and, speak at the meetings and, do all these things that scare me. And I think it's the only way to grow. It's the only way to evolve. And
so any of us can take that information and no matter what we want to do or where we want to go in life and apply that, Yep. It's like the community of Orange here. It's an amazing community. If you put your foot out there, the community is going to wrap themselves around you, but you got to put your foot out there and tell them who you are and be transparent and thankful and grateful and all those things. And next thing you know, you're running for mayor, or something like that. Well, I have to say, knowing you, I I have to reflect back to my old shop, and we did a cocktails in the garden workshop
Oh, yes.
with my son, and he was the bartender, but we introduced your barware and how to stock a bar. And I remember that evening when you showed up.
That was so fun. I was
very
terrified,
nervous,
and I'm
yes.
like, oh, thank God Alex is going to be the one talking, and
Yeah.
and I could just be Vanna White and show them.
You were so cute, though. And so you're seeing you this comfortable right now. I'm so proud of that
Oh,
for you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I hope people take from that something they can learn from. We
Yeah.
all have to put that one foot out there, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, so in your business, you're focusing on garage design.
Yes.
If someone wanted to know more about that, give us some of your socials, website, any kind of important information that we may need from you.
Sure. Yep. You can find me at designbypage.com. There's no I in page, just PAGE. And same Instagram handle, Design by Page.
Yeah, pretty simple.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's next level for Page? Where if you had your
Next level. I am actually rebranding. So
everybody just forget everything.
So forget what I just said. No, that's no. I'm thinking that
information.
it didn't. The name didn't sound like it garagey enough. So I've just trademarked Joyride Garage Design.
Nice.
And so I'm right now working on a logo, working on a new website, and
wow.
what I've learned over the last few years about design and marketing is it's not about you. It's not just about putting all the cool stuff that you did, like pictures of your interiors. It's really about your client. So I'm trying to make the new website be more about the client. What are they passionate about? And I want to use those passions and bring them into the design, because it's really their space, and I'm just a collaborator. So I'm trying to make it more client centric. So the new website is going to be a little different, and it's a work in progress, but we'll see where it goes.
See. You'll be very clever with that. That's going to be outstanding. And you're absolutely right. When you sit and you meet with a client, you're going through the motions of what they need and what they want, and because you're going to walk away one day and they're going to be the ones with the key, and they've got to look at that every day.
Yeah.
And that's a part of when I opened up about you and your detail and your quality. You zero in on these things, and that's what you put forth, and that's your name on it, but you've tailored it toward the client. So that's really cool. So when is this relaunching, rebranding? Not to put you on the spot.
Hopefully within the next couple months.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a kind of a perfectionist, so it has to be right before I pull the trigger.
Yeah. And so, are you more referral based right now?
Mostly, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I get a little traction from social media, but it's mostly word of mouth. It's real estate agent friends of mine will refer me to new homeowners. I get that. I get referrals within the car community, and believe it or not, other designers. I mean, there are designers that won't touch the garage space, and they will send their clients to me. I'm like, yes, thank you. Yeah. So
how does that, gosh, I just, if you went to my house right now, and I think I've kind of pretty much begged you to come to my house and help me, but you're so busy. But if you were to go and open my garage, which probably couldn't happen right now because the garage door is broken, if it gives you an idea of what you're going to see. I mean, but we're also talking about a lot of refined homes and new homes that may be empty already or something. But have you ever had that? Like you open the garage and you're like, this is going to be fun.
Where it's like a hoarder situation.
Yes.
Yeah. I have seen that. And actually with the show, these people had a lot of stuff in their garages, and we had to rent like shipping container or pod type things to put all of their stuff in. We had to like clear out the garage in order to see what was underneath and start working on the design. So
during that
yeah.
process, I know when I watch some of these HGTV shows and all, and
Yeah.
you knowing a little bit about the business, like, oh God, it's a little smoke and mirrors going on a little bit.
Yeah.
But did
Yeah.
you find that, I know it was an interesting process, but um, tell me a little bit about it and any unexpected twists and turns that you were like, God, where'd that come from? Or were you asked to do some random off the wall stuff? Any kind of stories like that?
Yeah, no, luckily this was pretty much, it wasn't based on like, oh, we're gonna have drama here
Yeah.
and we're gonna create like a disaster and see how they work
That's
around
kind
it.
of
It
where I was
wasn't
going
anything,
with that. I didn't know how to
right?
explain it.
But yeah, you're
They
right.
want that,
You do
right?
see a lot of that.
Yeah.
But this one was interesting because it was the homeowners had to submit their information and say like why they are deserving of a new garage, and they also got car renovations as well, car upgrades. And each of them had such a compelling story, and they were. I can't remember the dollar amount, but it was awarded a specific number, and we had to work within that budget. And it was it was it was an awesome thing to be a part of because it was a total surprise. They kind of had their wish list of things they wanted, and we knew their hobbies. We knew a little bit about their family and their favorite colors, and like how are we going to bring this all together and surprise them.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it truly was a surprise, and their reactions were just priceless. It was
Genuine.
so worth it. It just
Wow.
like it made you want to cry after you saw how happy and grateful they were when
Yeah.
they saw their new spaces. It was just it's like why I do what I do.
Do
You know?
you have a need or desire to go revisit them to see what it looks like now?
Yeah, I kind of do, but I also know like from seeing a design in a magazine or on a show is one thing, but
Yeah.
being able to live with it and like speaking from experience, like I can be a very messy person, and it's never going to be exactly the way you left it. But yeah, I am kind of curious to see what the garages look like now.
But that's a part of what you do too, and I think you do it very well probably, is the functionality of it. So yes, there's going to be a certain level of messiness or sloppiness, but
Yes.
kind of knowing you're going to have a place for that tool to go.
Right.
It's up to them to put it back.
Well, exactly. Because I work with tools and
Yeah.
the garage is my space, I'm not going to make it
me.
just pretty.
Yeah.
Like it does have to be functional. And, one of my good friends, she's a professional organizer, and she's right here in Orange, and her name is Amanda Clark, and her company is Ever So Organized, which I recommend you checking it out.
I'm
She
writing her
was,
number down
yeah,
right
exactly. I brought her on the show with me because I
Nice.
needed her help, organizing what's going on behind the cabinets. And I've learned so much from her over the years, and just about the containers and like logical ways to organize things, and having all containers in one color or one style. Just you could be a very organized person, but if the containers look like hodgepodge, it's going to look unorganized. I'm
Yes.
sorry, but like
Well, and you're going to spend more time trying to figure out,
Yeah.
oh, is my Halloween next to my Christmas? Or,
right, right. And label
Yeah.
makers, they're my new best friend. I'm obsessed with label makers. Yeah.
I love that they allowed you to bring someone on the show that you trusted.
Yeah.
It was that you sort of presented and said, hey, I need this gal. you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay.
Pretty much. Yeah. I said,
That's
we will
cool.
work it into the budget, but I think it's important that, what's going on behind the cabinet doors is just as important as the outside. Yeah.
I want a spin-off on this. Where it's you. You should do that.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Your little kiddo. Does she like look up at you like mom is so cool, or like I want to learn? What is her thoughts on your passions?
Oh, she's I have a 7-year-old, and she's so
Adorable, though.
she's so full of life and sassy, and she's so funny. So Yeah, she loves it when mom makes her things. Like a lot of times, it'll be, Papa is gonna take her skiing because I don't do winter. I don't like the cold.
Yes,
That's
I
why I
agree.
live here. That's why I moved away from DC. But they'll go on a ski trip together, and while they're gone, since I have the whole house to myself and I can
Really?
work uninterrupted, I will end up doing some sort of project. Well, last year the project was to build her a loft in her bedroom. So it was it was like bigger than a bunk bed, but it basically was a loft at the top and then a big play area underneath. But yeah, I pretty much did that in a week. And so this year, when they went skiing, she goes like, "I can't wait to see what you build me."
She had these expectations now.
She did, and I was
Oh,
like,
my goodness.
"Oh no, honey, I don't have any projects this year."
Oh, I bet she created a little list for you. Well, I could tell you these things.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just couldn't think her sassiness may come from grandma a little bit.
I think it's I think it's spread out evenly
Yeah.
amongst the family members, but yeah,
Yeah.
she's
Well,
funny.
I have to show. I was super thrilled when you came in. You brought me this amazing little tote with some coffee. So thank you so much. I'm all for that. Coffee and cars will be there, right? But this is one of the things that Page makes. Old license plates, and you. I don't cut them out, and I don't know. I'm not handy at all, but you have to make the edges where they're not sharp and stuff. But I love this.
Thank
very
you.
much.
You're welcome.
Very detailed. I love
You're
that.
welcome. Yeah.
I think you've set the pace now. That never mind. I was going to say every guest needs to bring me something. No, I'm kidding.
Well, they
that's a horrible
should.
thing. But thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, I really appreciate your time this morning. You've kind of brightened my day and
Oh, likewise.
set a tone. So
Thank
yeah,
you. It was
Yeah. Joyride. I'm so excited.
Oh,
This is going to be cool.
thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I
So
really appreciate it.
Get that launched, and we'll have you back on talking about stuff.
Sounds good.
So thanks
It's a
for
deal.
everyone for tuning in to another episode of Grace's Spaces, and we'll see you on the next go around.